Australian cricketer Michael Clarke and his girlfriend Jade Yarborough have been fined for creating a public nuisance.
He was once the best Test batsman in the world, but it's not sporting success that's following Michael Clarke around lately. It's a grainy video filmed in Noosa.
Hey, she can punch me, you Go, hit me. Stop it. Hit me.
Leg stump, that'll do it! What a wonderful shot to bring it up on as well. What a moment for Michael Clarke. Not just as a player, but as a captain here on his home ground.
One of my favourite players to ever play the game, Michael Clarke wasn't just a cricketer, he was a celebrity in a sport that didn't typically celebrate celebrities. Long before the public arguments, the dressing room tension, and the headlines that followed him into retirement, there was Pup, the prodigy cricketer, believed to have been made in a lab to become Australia's next great captain. Clarke was supposed to be the natural successor, the next Ponting, the next long-term guardian of the baggy green. His career became one of the most fascinating contradictions in Australian sport. Brilliant, confrontational, emotional, and endlessly scrutinised by the media. This is the story of Michael Clarke, one of Australia's greatest captains and one of the most polarising figures in Australian sport. Michael Clarke grew up in Liverpool in Sydney's west, far from the elite private schools that had traditionally produced Australian captains. Cricket was part of his daily life. His father ran an indoor cricket centre and Clarke spent countless hours redefining his technique long before the spotlight had arrived. As a teenager, doctors discovered that Clarke had degenerative discs in his lower back, a condition that would quietly follow him throughout his entire career. It was the kind of diagnosis that would usually limit your ambition. Instead, Clarke learned to manage the pain early, strengthening his core and adjusting his technique and playing with an awareness that his body would never fully be reliable. In October 2004, at just 23 years old, Clarke made his Test debut in India, widely regarded as the hardest place in the world for a young batter to start his career. What followed instantly changed his life. In his first career game, Michael Clarke scored 151, batting with confidence, movement and a maturity that was way above his age. He didn't just survive the occasion, he controlled it. Weeks later, he scored 141 back in Australia on his home debut. In the space of 2 tests, Clarke became the only Australian to score centuries on both home and away debuts. Australian cricket didn't just see talent, they saw their future. And going back to Clarke's early years, they were defined by promise and attention. His batting was elegant but aggressive, built around sharp footwork and fearless stroke play. But what truly separated him from previous Australian stars was how he carried himself away from the field. Clarke embraced fashion, drove expensive cars, and moved comfortably in celebrity circles. He didn't hide away from the attention, he seemed to understand it. To many fans, he represented a modern version of the cricket player. But to traditionalists, he felt out of step with Australia's usual sporting identity. Yet while the debate brewed, Clarke kept performing. In 2007, Australia dominated the Cricket World Cup without losing a match, and Clarke played a key role in the campaign. At just 26, he had already become a World Cup winner, a permanent fixture in the Test side, and one of the most recognisable faces in Australian sport. At this point, Clarke was still loved more than he was criticised. So the question is, why was there so much media talk if he was so good on the cricket field? While the first real disruption came during the Ashes in 2005, England exposed technical weaknesses in Clarke's game, particularly outside off-stump. His form declined, confidence dipped, and by late 2005 he was dropped from the Test team altogether. For the first time, Clarke had to confront failure. Rather than resist it, Clarke rebuilt himself. He tightened his defence, straightened his bat, and became a more disciplined batter. When he returned during the 2006 to 2007 Ashes, he wasn't the careful prodigy anymore. He was a more complete cricketer. Before I go into the controversies of Michael Clarke's career, it's important to remember just how good he was. Across 115 test matches, Clarke scored 8,643 runs at an average of 49, with 28 centuries. These numbers weren't just accumulated on flat tracks in the Australian golden era, they came during a transitional period, often against elite bowling attacks in different conditions across India, England, South Africa and New Zealand. And then came 2012, the defining year of his career. In that single calendar year, Clarke scored 1,595 test runs at an average of above 100. He became the only player in history to score 4 double centuries in 1 year, a feat that remains unmatched. The centrepiece was his 329 not out at the Sydney Cricket Ground against India. Clarke didn't just simply score runs, he dictated the entire game. He controlled the tempo, field placements and declarations, producing one of the greatest captain's innings in a cricket game. With his celebrity status at an all-time high, these performances propelled him into a superstar status in Australia. Off the field, however, there was always something going on in the background. His relationship with Lara Bingle became front-page news, turning Clarke's personal life into a natural obsession for the Australian public. In March of 2010, he had to leave Australia's tour of New Zealand amid intense public scrutiny after a picture of his then-girlfriend from 4 years earlier surfaced from when Bingle was having an affair with a married Australian rules footballer.
When you came back from the New Zealand test to break up with your then fiancée Lara Bingle, how intense was that scrutiny?
Yeah, that was heavy. That was cameras 24/7. I got to a stage when I come back that I actually couldn't stay in my own house. I didn't feel comfortable, so I ended up hiding in the boot of my mate's car and picked me up in the garage and snuck out without the media seeing me.
From that moment, Clarke was no longer judged solely on cricket. His image, relationships and personality were now part of the conversation as well. In 2011, Clarke was appointed Australian captain during one of the most difficult periods the team had faced in decades. The golden generation had faded, expectations remained sky high, and losses were no longer rare. Tactically, Clarke was aggressive, he wanted results and he wanted standards, and he demanded both relentlessly. A lot of critics were surprised that Clarke got the captaincy as well due to what happened in 2009 with Simon Katich. According to news.com.au, in the dressing room after a test match, Clarke lashed out in frustration at the delay of performance of Under the Southern Cross I Stand, a song historically belted out by victorious Australian cricket teams. The consensus was that Clarke had plans away from the team that he wanted to go to. But an angry Katich didn't like his approach, grabbing Clarke by the throat as the confrontation escalated. After these came the infamous homework incident during the 2013 tour of India, where Clarke strongly backed disciplinary action against senior players who failed to meet team expectations. Years later, leaked documents and interviews revealed Clarke had described a group within the team as being like a tumour that could turn into a cancer, and these words were clearly directed at Shane Watson at the time, who later responded publicly suggesting the comments said more about Clarke than himself. Clarke's captaincy split opinion. To some, he was ruthless but necessary. To others, he created an environment that felt tense and divisive. An incident that most Aussies will look back and love, but English fans will despise, was during the 2013 Ashes series when microphones captured Clarke telling England's James Anderson to get ready for a broken arm.
Get ready for a broken fucking arm.
The ICC then fined Clarke for the comment, but for supporters, it symbolised intensity and competitiveness, which was clearly a huge part of his personality that made him so elite. But for critics, it reinforced the image of a captain whose emotions sometimes overruled his restraint, and public scrutiny from all angles began to harden. But in late 2014, everything changed. Philip Hughes passed away after being struck by a bouncer during a Sheffield Shield match. Clarke was devastated. As a captain and a close friend, he became the emotional centre of the sport's response. His funeral speech, raw, vulnerable and deeply personal, remains one of the most powerful moments in Australian sporting history. In that moment, the image, ego and controversies disappeared, what remained was a human being carrying an unimaginable burden. In 2015, physically broken and increasingly restricted by injury, Clarke entered his final year, knowing the end was close. In 2015, he led Australia to a World Cup victory, top scoring in the final against New Zealand before lifting the trophy on home soil.
Smith heaves it away, that'll do it. Steve Smith fittingly hits the winning runs. And Australia are champions of the world.
What a great win in front of a record crowd here at the MCG. Australia beat.
Later that year, he retired from international cricket. He left as a two-time World Cup winner, a World Cup winning captain, a four-time Allan Border medalist, and one of Australia's most successful leaders, statistically and emotionally, in history. Clarke then moved into media and remained in the public eye, with magazine and tabloids across Australia continuing to keep tabs on the former captain. And returning to the clip at the start of the video, in January 2023, a public argument in Noosa involving Clarke and his then partner Jade Yarborough went viral.
She can punch me, you can't.
You piece of shit!
Go, hit me! Hit me! Hey, Jade, it's not fucking true.
Footage filmed in a public park showed Clarke and his then partner and her brother-in-law Carl Stefanich during the altercation. During the altercation, Clarke was slapped by Yarborough and later exchanged heated words with Stefanich. In the video, Clarke's seen denying many accusations that are thrown at him by Yarborough, due to her being told that he was cheating on her at the time. Queensland Police later issued public nuisance fines to both Clarke and Yarborough, confirming that no other offences were detected and that the investigation was finalised. Clarke later apologised publicly, accepting full responsibility for the incident and describing his behaviour as shameful and regrettable. The moment didn't erase his achievements on the field, but it became another chapter in a career that even after retirement never fully escaped the spotlight. After a bit of time and after the incident had blown over, Clarke returned to his media work and continues to this day working for ESPN Cricket while doing multiple other podcasts and cricket-related work. So how should Michael Clarke be remembered? As a great captain, undeniably. As a generational batter, for sure. And was he maybe slightly flawed? I guess so. But the thing is, I guarantee you if all of us had cameras on us 24/7, there would be a few things that all of us aren't proud of. And most of these incidents that became public were from Clarke's personal life. But again, if you want to represent one of the most elite sports teams on the planet, the rules are slightly different for you. Many would argue that Michael Clarke's story is a real example, an ultra-competitive athlete that would sacrifice anything to win for his country. He didn't just want to belong, he wanted to become the best to ever do it. But in Australia, standing out has always come with a price. Thank you everyone for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and leave a comment if you want to. And if you want to help the channel out and become a member and watch behind the scenes videos and vlogs, I do them weekly, feel free to sign up below. I'm going to try to do more content for members only, so yeah, I'd appreciate if you guys want to join, and I'll see you there. And I almost forgot, I'm going to start doing watch-alongs for things like the Cricket World Cup, so look out for those on this channel, and I'll see you next week.